So today's topic is we're going to be talking about growing up black in the UK as well as other parts of the world. I've got joined here with me a few different people. Would you like to tell us your names?
Hi, my name is Israa. I'm from East London. Was born and raised in London.
I'm Laura. I was also raised in London. I was born in Spain, but raised in London. Yeah.
I'm Chase. I'm from Northwest London, born and raised in London.
I'm Jasmine. I wasn't born here, but I was raised in London, and I'm from Essex.
The first question I'd like to ask is, what's it like growing up black? How do you feel the world perceives you?
Such a big question.
I know.
Yeah, that's such a big question.
It is such a big question.
Yeah.
I feel like growing up black in the UK was like growing up feeling like you weren't really British. You weren't really welcomed into the culture. It's like, even when it was like Black History Month, like we were never really taught about like black culture, like black history, African history, Caribbean history. We were constantly taught about like the civil rights movement in America and like slavery, but like they brushed it over. So because they never really taught us our culture, I feel like we've always been distanced.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that.
Yeah.
Like there's like this recurring theme of like people will be like, oh yeah, so where are you from? And I'll be like, well, I'm from here. And then they'll be like, okay, where's your parents from? I'll be like, from here. And I'll have to like go through the cycle until they find someone who's not from here. And it's like I'm not actually a British citizen. Like I'm always from somewhere else. But really, like when you go back to your country, so I'm Jamaican, and it was actually my great grandparents who moved here. So my grandparents were born here. My parents were born here. I was born here. So when you go back home to like Jamaica, for me, they'll be like, oh, but you're from there. You're not actually from here.
Yeah.
Just like, where am I actually from then? So yeah, it's kind of weird.
I understand that 100% because like I'm Somali. So when I go back like to my country, they will automatically know I'm British, and then they won't treat me like we're from there, you know? So it's like we're the British ones, and then when we're here, you know, you're not British, you're black, you're Somali, you're whatever your grandparents' parents came from. So like, but when you go back to your country of origin, they don't really see you as their own.
Yeah, it's very true. I would say the same, especially when it comes to Black History Month. Really and truly, it did not exist. Like, it didn't even exist. Like, it was like a one PowerPoint, and it was literally just as you said, just about slavery, and then you just got MLK and Martin Luther, and Malcolm X. But obviously, they're legends. You know what I mean? Like, they did amazing stuff for our people, but it's like there was a whole movement here. So why is it not taught? And I think that's obviously to do with the fact that they want to make it like it was just over there and we're all cool, but we do have our issues here, especially with the duality. Like, you're not from here, but you're not from there. Like, where do I place myself?
Yeah,
So true. I think for me, like the biggest hardship of like being a black person in the UK is like that feeling of like having to constantly prove yourself. It's like I walk into a room and I feel like I have to represent all my people, and that feels like so much pressure. It's like I have to be like the role model for every black person there is, and it's not fair. Do you get what I mean? So to summarize it, I would say that just the pressure of that.
I agree.
Yeah,
100%.
one false move.
Yeah,
one false move, and it's like,
from a young age.
Yeah, definitely. Because that's just reality as well. It's like if you do anything that's like out of turn, it's like confirming what they thought about black people, and it's like I'm just one black person, especially when they've done something that's out of turn. It's like, how do you expect me not to react in a bad way?
Yeah.
Then now it's like pushed back onto you that you're the person that's being like crazy.
Yeah, because automatically people think, automatically people think, oh, we're loud or we're very impulsive just because of our colour. But obviously, how can that be passed down in genes, like behaviours?
Yeah. Yeah, literally.
So you feel like you have to act a certain way rather than act as yourself or be yourself?
100%.
Yeah,
100%. To dilute yourself.
100.
You have to dilute it, dull it down.
Like, even
Yeah.
code switching is a form of like, I feel like
yeah.
it's a form of watered down racism. We can't talk how like we grow up around our friends or our families. We have to talk in like standardized English, even if a white person came or like a non-black person came and they spoke exactly how I did before I code switched.
Yeah.
But it would be unprofessional if I spoke like that. If I was like wagwan, whatever, I wouldn't get accepted for anything. I would just have the door slammed into my face.
Can
And
you
what's
say
crazy
that?
is that if someone tries to do that, like someone who's not black does that, they're kind of seen as cool, like, oh, you have something about you, like, oh, you know, you're a bit spicy. But when we do it, gangster, funk, I don't get it.
Spicy white. Yeah, genuinely.
No, that is so true.
Yeah.
Yeah.